What's up, guys? Welcome to Fitter Food Radio. This is episode 202, and it's me, Matt Whitmore, and of course,
Hey.
my bestest friend in the whole world,
Oh, thanks.
Keris. Well, Happy New Year, people. It is the year 2025. What the actual hell is going on? Where's the flying cars at?
Yeah, we were promised.
That's what I want to know. Just mad. Like, do you remember the year 2000? And everyone made a big song and dance about, like the year 2000 and in London, like the Millennium Dome was built, and it was like, like Millennium. It just felt so futuristic, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we're now 2025, but weirdly, when you look back at photos and videos of even like early 2000, they look so dated. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
they
mean?
do. They do.
It's
But then it's funny you started with the flying car thing because I was thinking if when you first watched Back to the Future, you knew that actually by 2025 you could have any single song in the world downloaded onto your phone
hmm,
faster than, like instantaneously.
yeah,
You could watch any film, TV, anything you wanted, all from your phone. You could FaceTime somebody. You could,
same day prime delivery.
oh God.
That's a bad one. That still
No,
gets me.
but it's so much that we've just taken for granted. Do you see what I mean? We're all a
Yeah,
bit like, oh, it was supposed to be living like the Jetsons by now. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
supposed to be in space and all this kind of stuff. But it's like still, and I'm not sure all of it serves us, like, but there's still, I often think if we're a bit smarter with our smartphone, we have this incredible tool to like transform, like our entire kind of environment in a way, because you could like put on a favorite playlist, you can just watch a film, you can download a meditation, you can
yeah,
do breath work, you can listen to sounds of nature through your phone. It's like, yeah, so they're kind of weirdly they're kind of amazing and also highly destructive at the same time.
yeah,
So it's a really
yeah.
tricky one. I think there should be courses going forward. I've been looking at this where everyone's talking about, even in nutrition at the moment, they're saying accounts need to be taken down because they're kind of worryingly extreme and possibly triggering eating disorders and all sorts of food fears and things. And it's not really being policed, obviously.
Hmm.
And there's lots of debates going on about it. And I thought it's almost like it does need better kind of policing, but it also needs, that's only going to go so far. Really, what we probably all need is like social media school. Do you see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how to tell when someone's not telling the truth. I mean,
It's hard though. It's
it
hard
is really
to
hard.
decipher between, I don't know, like what is reality sometimes. And I know we've spoken about this a gazillion times, like, but it is hard. It is hard as much as you can like look at social media and go, oh, it's just someone's highlight reel. You don't truly know what's going on behind the scenes and this, that, and the other. Like it is hard sometimes to kind of feel like everyone else has nailed it and you're just like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And
You just been, well, you've been really ill since
oh,
New Year's Eve.
so ill.
I was more like funny, like a virus we both got, didn't we? And for you, it was like respiratory, hit your kind of chest and really awful cough. And for me, it hit my stomach. And now my stomach's just like the Tasmanian devil, it's just going
Mm,
every time I eat. So I'm just hoping that that clears up. But I'm fine, as in physically fine, can go walking and,
yeah.
but both of us got struck down and bedridden for quite a while. But then what was really interesting is I said to you, I've almost had an allergic reaction to going back to life.
Yeah.
It's almost like the peace and quiet of being ill and just having, I guess, kind of like permission to not respond to any messages and to watch some Netflix and just look out the window. I looked out the window for ages one day because I was like, I was too nauseous to get out of bed. So I was like, I'm just going to watch nature. And it was just
Oh,
this. I opened the window and I was just listening to the wind and I was like, oh, this is like just peaceful. You can, just, but then weirdly coming back into life, it wasn't about kind of getting better. It was more like, I don't even know how to post a story. I had a real delay on social media, a
mm.
real kind of adversity to it.
I was the same. Like, yeah, I just wasn't on there when I was ill because I was like, I can't even, yeah, I haven't even got it in me to like, I think I did the odd reshare when maybe you or Fit of Food had like
Thank you.
tagged me. It was like, oh, reshare. That's about all I had in me. But it was really interesting being ill because like even when you just were talking, then a few things came up for me. And the first thing was like, and we've spoken about this before, where it's like we should all be able to consciously make a decision to take a bit of time out for ourselves. You know, why do we push ourselves to the point where we're forced to take time out because, you know, we've burnt out or we've got ill, and it's almost like, well, now you don't have a choice. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's something, it's certainly something I still struggle with. I know you do, and I know a lot of other people do as well, because it's almost like all the while you feel you can do something, you feel that you should, and becomes difficult taking that time out of yourself to binge watch a TV series, you know, and not leave the sofa for a couple of hours, or like you say, just sit there mindfully staring out a bloody window, like whatever it might be. But what was interesting for me is like you noticed this as well. When I was ill, I was so angry about being ill because we had like a really lovely chilled Christmas, didn't we? Like it's our first Christmas here together in Portugal. First Christmas we've ever had as just us as a family. You know, like we weren't with your mum and dad, we weren't with my mum, we weren't traveling around the UK seeing other like relatives and whatnot. And we were really looking forward to like just a low key like Christmas period, and we consciously took some like really like proper time off, and it felt amazing. And we were like, well, it's all good because after Christmas, you know, we'll have this window to get to work on our the Strong Humans project, which we're launching and starts on the 20th of Jan. And it was like, great, you know, this is all just going to work out. And then bosh, got ill. And then it was like, I was there ill, but I was stressing because I was like, well, I can't be ill because I've got this bloody list of things that I need to do, but I physically can't do them. Like I'm literally just curled up in fetal position on the living room floor with the heating on me 24/7. And that's not even an exaggeration.
I guess it's a great illness can be a real reminder of your vulnerability.
Mm.
And I think for you, it was, I think for both of us, like I remember my first thought when I fell ill was like, I haven't got time for this. And that's more because
I got time for that.
it's like this time of year is in our industry when we have people's attention, which is hard to get a lot of the year. Everyone's busy and putting themselves on the back burner, and we're constantly saying, please don't leave it to January, you know, but people do, and we get that.
Yeah.
And so it's hard that this is the time of year when people are most likely to be open to us helping them, and then we're both sick. So I think that's where the frustration came. And then obviously I got better, so then the kind of burden of work fell on me a bit more, which I could see was irritating the heck out of you. So it's almost like
I felt so guilty.
You're getting a double whammy.
Not that you like made me feel guilty or anything like that. Like you were amazing.
No,
like,
I wasn't, because every now and then I was all right to a point, but like as with everyone, then I'd get tired, then my stomach would kick off with the kind of residual symptoms, and then I'd go, I didn't even sign up to all this. So it's like, and then as soon as I said it, I was like, that's not fair because that's going to make you feel worse. But I couldn't stop myself. But what's really interesting is I've like sat with it for a while and gone, just like journal about this a little bit, sit with it, try and figure out what is it, you know, like deep down inside, what was the kind of resistance that I was having with certain things. Because also, even with illness, I actually started to say to myself, I've done this a lot, I felt sorry for myself and went into victim mode for a long time with my illness. But then I kind of was like, well, why not you? You know, I've lost friends to cancer. Some of my friends didn't even make it. School friends didn't even make it this far. We've got friends with, you know, real kind of chronic illness. You have a friend with cystic fibrosis, and I've always said like she's like a hero to me. Like I look at what she copes with and how she, you know, battles life. So why not me? Do you know? But also, if you do actually embrace it and accept it and surrender to it, there's also huge amounts of learning. And for me, there was lots of learning about my relationship with work and my relationship with doing and not being, you know, and all these things that I'm teaching clients about all the time. But it was a lovely little like, okay, let's go on a little bit of CPD here. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna go on a little course of, and somebody actually that I follow who's in the mind body space, he's called the Mindful Gardener, and I like him. He's very skeptical of nutrition, which is why I like him. He challenges my perception of things. But he often says, like with chronic illness and chronic conditions, he believes it's very much kind of a psychosomatic thing, but not in that you do have the symptoms and you may have an inflammatory bowel condition, but your brain is it's come through stress and trauma and and your brain is now keeping that loop going. So the brain is actively keeping the inflammatory response going. It's just really interesting, and there's definitely elements to which I think there's truth behind that. But what he says is sometimes you have to get sicker before you get better, because you almost have to have exhausted everything else and be on your knees with the whole thing, and then that's when the healing really starts. And it's really interesting. So every time I'm getting really sick now, and it does tend to be with me, COVID. We think it was some version of COVID we had, didn't we? We didn't actually go and test because we couldn't even get out of the house. And then
Also,
when we were better, we were just keeping away from everybody because we didn't want anyone else to get it. So
it was also a bit like, what's the point?
And and there wasn't, you said, what will I do differently?
Exactly.
So we did contact some herbalists. We got some antivirals, didn't we? We got some herbs. What's nice here in Portugal is there's eucalyptus trees all around us. And a herbalist gave us like a kind of blend of eucalyptus, and we had some eucalyptus oil. So you were putting that in baths. And
do you know what's mad though? Is like it was only recently we discovered what the eucalyptus wasn't it? Like because if you think
very
about it,
naively, we kept walking, going, "What is that gorgeous smell?"
But it almost was like we just thought it was the pine because it's kind of
pine,
had like similarities to like a pine smell. And then it was a friend of ours that was like these little things that were dropping off the trees, and was like, "This is eucalyptus." And you came home one day and you were like, because I was like, "What's this in your pocket?" Because I think I was in your pockets. I don't know. I was probably like doing a wash of like emptying your pockets.
Tissues.
Which you're terrible for, by the way.
Nana.
I know. Good bloody job. One of us has got to be. And I was like, what are all these things in your pocket? And you were like, smell it. I smell it. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like eucalyptus. And I was like, bloody hell, who knew? Like we've just been walking past it all the time.
We put it on the fire. The friend said, put them on the fire at night. And so we do. Oh, it's so nice, isn't it? We've been talking, actually. I just filmed a load of videos for Strong Humans Project yesterday. I've done the mindset side.
It's us like subliminally plugging the project.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
Look into my eyes.
Life changing. Never diet again.
No, but I am just going to say the premise of the plan is really, and I can't like emphasize this more, having just been on social media for the few days that I have gone back, it's just like a war out there. Like it's just like people slamming each other. The whole thing of like a nutritionist talking with another nutritionist behind, just fighting and going, never listen to this person. I've checked his credentials. I don't even know that he's a doctor. It's just going on and on and on. And it's filling my feed. And I'm almost getting to a point where I'm like, I need to unfollow, because I actually think the problem with nutrition is that I would love to see a lot of these people, I can name them all in a second, get around a table, I said this to you, and just go through at least 20 things that they can agree on that most people need to do. And there'll definitely be 20, if not more. And then there's like these nuanced things that we can do that tend to be based on your mainly things like your gut and immune system, if I'm really honest, but also your spirituality. So when we think about, do you want to eat animal products, some of that is down to like how you feel about it ethically. Sustainability, I think there's just, again, key things we could all agree on, but mainly, your ability to digest food, how your immune system might react to food, your perception of a food being good or bad is also something that might need some work, I think, if anything. And just, that's where the nuances come in. And this is why we always say you'll see a 90-year-old sat on a bench with a fag in his mouth, a whiskey and a sausage roll. And how did he get to 90? And that there are so many other things that feed into our health beyond nutrition.
Someone with a whiskey and a sausage roll.
It's going to be you. If I go first, it'll be you.
Living the dream.
I'll be sat next to you in spirit going, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Put that down. But the bit that we want to really help people with now is to kind of shut out all that noise and all that overwhelm, and stop people flip-flopping from this diet to that diet. And I'm carbs, I'm keto, I'm not carbs, I'm vegan, I'm this. It's just all so messy and noisy. And just go, right, here's some key principles that are really hard to bed in first, so let's get going with them. And then the rest is as we said, it's nuanced. And if your digestive system is sensitive, this is going to work better. If you're really highly active, this is going to work better. If you're very prone to blood sugar roller coasters, binging, sugar addiction, this is going to work better. And this is, but ultimately in the project, we've also stepped back and gone, half the time our choices around food and whether or not we make it to the gym or do the harder things is based on our emotional state. And that's what I've really tried to highlight with everybody, is that it's really good to start observing this stuff. I love the phrase, be a curious observer. So when you're at the fridge, or when you're going after a meal, I really want this, or when you sit down and watch a film and you're like, oh, it's not the same if I haven't got this. And, you know, it's interesting because there can be things that we're trying to escape. There can be feelings that we're trying to chase. And there's lots of things that if we develop an awareness of, we can actually take the control back a little bit and go, no, this is just my kind of, you know, like noisy brain telling me that I need something when I don't. And I heard a great phrase recently, I might have shared it on a previous podcast, that was like, sometimes it's just kind of very egoic. It's almost very self when you're like, I want another slice of cake, I want a second coffee, I want more alcohol, I want more. And this, again, I mentioned this definitely on my psychedelic journey, was this whole concept of I want more, I want more, I want more in every
More.
and stopping for a second, and that's often because we're not resourced and we're not taking time to do some things that really nourish feel good chemicals in our body, but also feel good emotions, and also a bit of compassion to ourselves. And again, this is a theme that we're bringing out more and more on the podcast, is like we're torturing ourselves so much. But what's really interesting with food is we'll end up stuck in a bit of a cycle where we get addicted to the, let's say we're going to do this, let's fuck it all up by the end of the day, and then let's spend the rest of the time guilt and shame. Let's wake up the next day and go, I'm not going to do that again, and then repeat it, and then question our sanity. And it's really, that's a pattern I see time and time again. And definitely I've been there. What's great about my gut stuff is I've had to do that many elimination diets. It's felt like dieting in the end. It's felt like if you told me not to have this food, it's all I think about, it's all I want. And recently somebody got me back on, they were like, oh, every time you kind of get the COVID stuff, have you thought about histamine? And I know histamine is definitely a problem, but if you even try and follow a low histamine diet, if you even say the word to me, I sink into depression. Because when I've talked, you're like, why is it that bad? And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Histamine's in leftovers. It's in like, everything's got to be frozen. You're never going out again. You're never eating out. You're never touching this. You're never having that. It's in all the best foods like tea, coffee, chocolate, tomatoes. What's funny is I'll crave tomatoes. The minute you tell me I've got to do low histamine, I'll be like, I want that tomato. So it's not even like pleasure foods that I'm craving. It's avocados. I'm like, I want an avocado. I want some spinach. So I think that this has happened to me because I'm able to kind of say, have this conversation with clients and go, the thing is we're hyper focusing on food, and it's not the food that's the problem. It's the emotional state. It's the kind of balance of emotions and our environments and kind of who we're spending time with. And that's very much something that we're bringing out on this plan more than ever. We've always talked about it. I've always talked about everything from body image to like serotonin, dopamine, all these things, and the way nutrition affects our brain chemicals and our brain function. But I think it's now maybe looking a bit more for a lot of people, because we've been around for a while and we've given so much information and books and plans, and people are coming back. So we know that it's not necessarily a knowledge problem, is it? It's more action based. And what we see is everyone's coming to us and saying, I just need you to, because I don't have the willpower, I don't have the self-discipline. And that's not the truth. It's the rest of environment and interactions and purpose and direction of life, I think, is causing people so much discomfort inside that they're just craving, you know. And I think if the food side, you know, I have some clients where the chronic illness has dictated the food side for them. They can't do all the indulgence in alcohol and stuff. But what they're doing is self-soothing with like Netflix and keeping really busy helping everybody else. Like they don't matter anymore. That's another common thing that we've seen, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then also resent it, very secretly resent it.
I think like, you know, the thing as well, when anyone's like embarking on a journey of positive change, if you like, you know, someone wants to lose weight, they want to get fitter and feel like they're looking after themselves, you know. And I think longevity is on the back of everyone's mind now. You know, people aren't just like annihilating themselves and just like, whatever, you know, it is what it is. And what I mean by, I'm kind of talking about like the demographic that we mostly work with at the moment, you know, people that are similar age to us or a bit older.
Health longevity is probably more accurate.
Yeah, like, you know, because we've been there, we've done that, you know, we've absolutely like beasted ourselves in the gym and skipped warm-ups and not stretched and, you know, ate crap and got drunk every weekend. Like,
I love that.
it's
I
like,
love that your definition of a beasted ourselves is skip to warm up.
no, but I mean, like,
No, I know you. I mean, you've done like brutal workouts
that's
and stuff.
part of
Yeah.
the, you know, like the naivety. And it's
I've
like,
taken risks in life. I've skipped a warm up.
yeah, I just went straight to a 200 kg deadlift. Um, you know, and it's like a lot of that was just naivety and ignorance, and you know what, like we paid the price through injuries and niggles that really kind of made us like assess how we approach these things. And
Also, though,
let,
I
let,
think,
let me just finish.
sorry,
And I think like now, like there's so much information out there, and as much as we say, I know what I need to do, but there is almost information overload that makes you question what you think you know. And people still feel they need to do something drastic. They need to go keto, they need to go carnivore, like they need to go vegan, whatever it might be. And everyone's got their own reasons. And you know what? All of those things fucking work if your reasons for doing it are right and are healthy
and it
and
works for you.
and
So
it
it doesn't
works for
always work.
you.
Some people are pushing it and it's not working for them at all, and it's just a constant struggle.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. And this is the beauty of like how we coach. Like we have principles, you know, with our nutrition that kind of make up the foundations of why we eat the way that we eat. And our goal is to work with people to help them find their own nutrition principles and foundations that work really, really well for them. And of course, regardless of what diet you're following, nutrient density is always going to be a thing. It's
yeah.
always going to be important no matter what you do. And I think like this for me is like the biggest change someone can make is take what you know and have the belief in yourself and the confidence to go, do you know what? This really fucking works for me. Despite what a lot of other people are saying, who look amazing and just look like their diet is the best thing in the world, this works really well for me. It makes me feel good. It helps me to show up to the gym, to train how I want to train. It puts me in a good mood. It gives me lots of energy, etc., etc., etc. And I think that the problem we have now, because of the amount of information out there, is it really knocks people's confidence and belief in themselves that they're making the right decision. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. And what we said was we really felt quite strongly about this towards the end of last year. Was like we need to start showing people that they know what they need if they connect with themselves intuitively and actually drown out some of the noise and spend less time reading. Because again, if you went down my newsfeed, this is what it said one day. You had Lane Norton saying it's all about calories. Had Anthony Chaffee saying it's the carnivore diet. There was somebody on there, I think that was the vegan nutritionist saying meat's killing you and it's all plant-based. Then there was somebody else, Mindy Pels, saying it's all about fasting. And it's just like, do you know what? It's easier just to not eat right now. But it's that confusing and conflicting. And I just thought if people don't start to step away from this and start to kind of go, okay, let's just be sensible for a second. The more ancestral it is, the longer the food's been around, the more unprocessed it is, and more the food industry's not knackered, messed around with it and put
Mm,
chemicals on it and all sorts of stuff, the better it is for me. That's your first kind of step approach, is like
mm,
that just makes absolute logical sense. And then the next thing is just kind of like we often say, hitting the protein target, and then the tinkering with the carbs and fats is just a little bit related to your body composition, your physical activity level, to some degree genetics, but you're never gonna, like, genetics are a very small part of it, but it might be why someone's just a bit more prone to diabetes than someone else. That's
mm.
why ethnicity is also relevant with this. But once this becomes like a full-time struggle for you, whether you're completely neglecting it and then just absolutely beholden to medical appointments because you're on so many medications, it could be blood sugar stuff, blood pressure, heart disease meds and all this kind of stuff. So you're living in fear of where that's going to end. And the more polypharmacy goes on, the more there's possibility of contraindication there and side effects. And that alone could be problematic. And you could be in that neglect state, or you could be in that full-time focus state. We see both, don't we? So some people come to us and then that busy, just scrolling the internet for the next supplement, the next why can't they lose this last couple of kilos? Why? And I think either way, whatever on wherever you are on that spectrum, neither is going to serve you, because what we're doing is completely distracting ourselves from actually putting in place some things that are going to really, as we just said, nourish the body, but resource it back, resource the body, resource the brain. And then you'll start to get this logic back that we all have if we give ourselves the space to, and trusted ourselves and trusted our body. So the second thing that I see is, because of all the body image stuff that's gone on in terms of all these ideals that we have been held in front of us, that we need to basically subscribe to, that we just feel so inferior. And if you had that kind of inferiority complex anyway in your personality, then you're more likely to be vulnerable to this. So we're constantly striving to be taken seriously, or to be, we definitely felt this in our industry is so image led that, oh God, if people are going to listen to me, then we need to look like this. We need to be, not an ounce of fat here, there, and everywhere. We need to angle our photos so we look like this. And this was definitely the first part of our kind of venture into fitness, wasn't it? And I said to you, I don't feel comfortable with this. I feel like everything's dictating to me how I should look. And I'm vulnerable in this area anyway. I didn't, as a teenager, I was very kind of had issues with body image. And eventually, I think as we've got older and just seen how destructive that is, we've just started to go, what do I want to look like? What do I feel good with? How can I make this not consume a huge part of my thought process in the day, so that my mind is freed to go and do some brilliant stuff, like give back. Like our best projects come when we're able to have this time and reflect and go, wouldn't it be great to do this and make it fun again and make it enjoyable and really teach people this? And so I think for people listening, it's one thing I say to clients is, it's like you've been done over. Basically, for the last few years, we've been done over by everything from social media to big food to big pharma. They've just all been creating solutions for us that are actually huge distractions from us being truly happy and healthy. And when you sit down and dedicate some time to this and go, no more, I'm gonna put some money in place, and I am gonna finally get the truth, that is taking your power back. And that truth shouldn't look that extreme necessarily. For some people where there's chronic illness and sickness, it may have to be a more extreme version of nutrition to kind of gradually, make sure the immune system feels safe with everything. But it's also so much bigger than nutrition, because it's this, you almost have to be a bit of a brave heart. I was saying this to you this morning. That is my favorite film. And I often think in my mind, I think of all those men that ran into that battlefield. And I know the film is not a true representation of the reality or the actual factual history. But I always love that film, because I love the way that people ran onto that battlefield, just knowing that, and the speech that Braveheart does, which is like, would you trade your freedom and live in this kind of prison for just one chance? And your one chance is, and they obviously charge forward and fight. And I think, I know that sounds like you might be like, where's she going with this? But I feel like you can either carry on leading this real struggle in your life, this real painful suffering, fighting to get this certain dress size, fighting to not have this, that, and the other, but it's a constant struggle day in, day out. Or you can actually just almost surrender and go, right, this is it. What I truly want is to not have to listen to this shit anymore. So I can go back to all the stuff in life that I love and read books for pleasure again, not because I'm constantly trying to find answers of how to live and how to speak and how to eat, and really just be brave enough to go on that journey and just be able to feel competent. If you were on social media, go, I don't need that anymore. That's extreme. That might work for that person, but that's absolutely fine. Like, we want that confidence back. We want that trust back. And that is a little bit of a process that we have to go on. And some of it is going to involve looking at our emotions, which have become quite a big distraction in this process.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're lacking self-esteem and fearful, if we're people pleasing, if we're just don't value ourselves, then we're going to always show up for everybody else. And then we're going to want to look like everyone else says is good, or what media says is good, or what celebrities are doing. We're going to want to just lose our identity and fit in. And that's where the problem often is, would you say?
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And that kind of like ties in with like, the whole comparison side of things. And rather than just kind of focusing on yourself and what makes you feel good and what you enjoy and things like that. And when you were talking then, it reminded me of that, that expression, like taking imperfect action.
Yeah.
you know, and I love that because it's like we've said this before, how like perfectionism is a form of procrastination, right? So it's like if you're waiting for the perfect moment to make certain changes, or you're waiting for something to feel as though it's perfect before you start, it's like, well, it's probably not going to happen because perfection doesn't exist. Life doesn't work in that way where we just have this clear run of 8 weeks where we're like, well, nothing's possibly going to go wrong over the next 8 weeks. Now is the time to start this self-development journey and losing weight and building muscle and getting fitter and healthier, whatever it might be. And I think like this is where like embracing the journey is so important, because it's like, you know, like they say, you know, you can only commit to an action, you can't commit to an outcome, right? And I think whatever journey you're on, like embrace the small incremental progressions that might seem like they're really frustrating when you look at them on paper and go, well, that's just such a small progression, it's almost not a progression. But like, not to kind of like bring it back to training, but like an analogy to give you, like with like my training journey in the kind of like last quarter of 2024, um, all of which has just gone to shit since I got ill.
No, that's catastrophizing.
I went to the gym
1
today.
week off the
My
gym
God.
and it's like, oh,
That was like 1 week.
okay, no,
It was nearly 3 weeks.
it was not.
It
That's
was.
a massive
It's
exaggeration.
not at all.
Oh no, because you had food poisoning before Christmas, didn't
Yeah,
you?
thank you very
Okay.
much indeed.
Yes, it's 3 weeks.
Anyway, like when I was like, you know, I was going to the gym, and of course I go to the gym because I enjoy training most of the time. You know, there's some days I'm a bit like, oh, can't bother today, whatever. It happens. But for the best part, I enjoy it. I enjoy the process more than the outcome of the session, if you see what I mean. And I'd be like, let's say, for example, I'm doing squats and I do 4 reps at a particular weight. Now, the next week, I'll be like, right, okay, how can I make a progression on this? Have I got 5 reps in me at the same weight? So I do an extra rep. Or could I potentially add a little bit more weight? And you don't need to make these 5 or 10 kilo jumps. It might literally be like a 2 kg, a 3 kg progression. But the reason I'm saying this is that whilst on paper, an extra 2 kgs might not feel worth it, or one extra rep might not feel worth it, when that accumulates over the course of a 4 to 6 week period, all of a sudden, you're not talking 2 kilos, you're talking an extra 10 kilos. You know, you're not talking an extra like rep. You're talking like numerous reps on a weight that you were doing for far fewer reps some weeks before. And it's then you can look back and go, bloody hell, like look at that epic progress. And the reason I say this is because we're always looking for these big wins, these big substantial like wins, whether it's like what it says on the weigh-in scale or how much you shaved off your 5K time or whatever it may be.
That's again, it's ego, isn't it? It's
It is ego.
It is ego.
And
We have no patience. We want immediate gratification for,
exactly.
and we work hard for it. It's not that we're saying that you don't put the effort in, but what we do really lack is that element of like, we don't decide everything. Do you see what I mean? And I think the point you just made then about perfectionism and wanting those results can also be applied to both kind of nutrition and body image, in that if that's all we're guided by, the end result, then we tend to want to do, like you said, the big chunky stuff, and we go all in, and kind of knowing that it's probably overwhelming and not sustainable the way that we're doing it. So it doesn't take long before life throws us a couple of curveballs and a bit more time in, you know, a few more things that take our time, and then we have to give it up because we didn't get the result anyway. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we give up on it all. But also, I think that perfectionist kind of mentality, if applied to your nutrition, your training, your body image, is so destructive because we're never perfect. And that's I've never seen anybody who made that the focus of their healthy kind of habits. I've never seen anyone go, I've got here, I'm here, this is it.
Yeah.
Perfect diet, perfect training plan, perfect body, here I am, la, and I'm going to stay here. I've never seen that happen. It's like, it's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
You can spend all your life looking for it, or you could just go, wait a minute, someone's told me a little fairy tale here, and I just need to stop for a second, question it. How much of my time and energy do I want to dedicate to this, and why am I doing it? Because the main reason we should be doing it is, as we said before, to have the energy and the enthusiasm and the just that bloody zest for life to go and do something.
Yeah.
And again, that only comes when we kind of, I guess, have that epiphany. We wake up and go like, what am I doing? And like I said, with social media, what's interesting is that the power to be distracted is just even greater, because like you said, that comparison element's there now, in that even if you just saw your friends all nailing the gym in January, and like because we're stuck in bed, and it's like your whole news feed, or your mate's like, I'm just back from the gym, amazing class, amazing, you're really out there, and it's just like, but if we sit with that, it's all right to feel a bit of FOMO, of course, to go, oh, it's a bit shit, I am ill in bed. But the second thought could be, I have the rest of my life to go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, there's no rush. Why are we always racing with everything? And actually, what was your phrase you said about imperfectly? Can't remember.
Take imperfect action.
No, but you said something about imperfect action. I thought you
When?
said
Today.
No, yeah, a minute ago. I'm gonna wind this podcast.
No, it was taking imperfect action.
Imperfect action. Sorry, that's it. You just said perfect then.
I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did. You're mumbling. So taking imperfect action, I think, is a really nice phrase. But whilst you're there, why not ditch the idea of any perfectionism? And when you were saying about it's just the 1 kilo ad, the 2 kilo ad, that all starts to accumulate into like these great bigger lifts eventually, as long as we, again, I think if we detach from the outcome, it just happens for us. It's just the same, whatever you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to get used to meditation, maybe you're trying to get a healthy relationship with body image, or more relaxed around food. It's these small little choices which add up. And so I'm putting less and less effort into my appearance. So to you today, I should probably drag a brush through my hair before the podcast, but I haven't washed my hair, I haven't got changed, I haven't done anything. So it's like, I'm here to help and support people. This is a free podcast. I don't need to put any makeup, or I never do put makeup on, but I don't need to look a certain way.
No.
You either listen to us or you don't now. And I'm at a point where I'm like, you either trust us and you're still here, which, those 50 people are still here. It's amazing.
Mine gone up to 52 now.
Yeah. Or you've gone and found someone who looks sexier and way more jacked and ripped and sciencey and interesting than me. Well, I was about to say than me. So it's completely, I can't control that anymore. I can only show up authentically. And so for me, it's been these small decisions. And the more I've done the mindfulness stuff, the more I sit and do these short meditations, or I've just recently really recently started journaling again, the more I become aware of the emotions that are coming in, and the source of them is often an outside trigger. So I have the control then to go, wait a minute, like this is absolute bullshit. You can go. And it's so empowering. And that's why I say, like, when it comes to all this healthy stuff, you can take your power back with every small decision. You can rock up and meet a mate and not brush your hair and not apologize for it, because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And what's been great about making friends here is there's been lots of triggers for me where I'm like, oh, I should reply to the WhatsApp straight away. Oh, I should if I invite one person, I need to invite everybody else people will feel left out. And it's really been interesting, just sat there as a curious observer going, this is how you absolutely exhaust yourself. Like trying to make sure everyone's happy, and as if you define everyone's happiness in what you do, your actions, whether they're invited, whether you're, turning up looking nice and beautiful or not. And it's just ridiculous. But you can only see it when you start to do some of the, sit still, watch your emotions, listen to your thoughts, do some journaling, get that awareness back. And you can reset it, know that you'll be triggered again, and you'll go, oh, I've gone back to square one. I'm over focusing on my waistline this January and I didn't want to do this. It's fine to have a body composition goal in a way, in that we don't want to carry around extra weight. We don't want to be excessively bloated from food. We don't want to have headaches or sleep issues or blood sugar crashes. That we don't want those things. And that's where we should go. So I probably do need to lose weight, or I should just get back onto healthy eating. I should do my walks. I should do a couple of gym sessions. But beasting ourselves on all that stuff, we're doing it for the wrong people, because it's not for us.
Yeah. And again, it kind of ties in with that whole, like, oh, once I achieve this, then everything will be fine. Once this is done, everything will be great. And it's
The
like,
impossible goal
yeah,
that never happens.
exactly. And I think that just keeps you where you are. That's just another form of procrastination of like, I can only do this once this is in place. I can only commit to that once this is in place. And it's like, no, like now's your chance to just make that first move.
Just do it.
Just do something. Just commit to a habit. It doesn't need to be this big grand like life overhaul. Just one thing that you can commit to. And I think like that's kind of at the core of the Strong Humans project. You know, overall, it's a transformation plan? Of course it is. Of course, there's going to be a focus on nutrition, exercise, movement, but at the core of it is a big focus on mindset, creating awareness around the things that affect your day-to-day decision making processes when it comes to making those commitments to yourself and being able to put some boundaries in place. And as you just mentioned, like a big part of it is having awareness. But in order to have awareness, you have to have the headspace to acknowledge these things. And oftentimes that's where people are lacking. Their minds are so chaotic and they're so distracted here, there, and everywhere. Work, partners, kids, social media, like whatever it might be. It's like there's just no time for them to actually acknowledge what the hell's going on. So if you would like to join us, we would absolutely love to have you. If you're listening to this after the 20th of January, SOS, but it's already started. There will be more though, but we start officially on the 20th Jan. It's an 8-week step change transformation where we focus on 1 week at a time. No getting ahead of yourself, no getting overwhelmed. You just need to focus on the week that's ahead, and each week is progressive on the week before. It's something that we started about 2 years ago with our group training programs that has been super effective. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say. So,
And also just to kind of like encourage you that sometimes the accountability that we offer is just almost giving people the courage, so as the days tick over, to really show you where the time deficit might be, and that you really do need to pull it back and why. And just having that reminder, it's been great. I've had coaches who helped me with the mindfulness aspect because there was a resistance there for me in terms of everybody else was needing me, and so I had to really have a coach to help me stay accountable, because I couldn't argue that I wanted fixing like all these health issues if I wasn't putting in the time for me. And this, like we often say, it's like it will all happen so easily and effortlessly, but the first bit that you probably need accountability with is one, taking the time back for you, and then secondly, knowing what's the most effective thing to do and not get distracted with all the complexities and all the shiny things that are being dangled at you on your newsfeed. Like ignore them all. And that's where we come in. We've simplified it and gone, this works for like 99% of people, so pretty sure it's going to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and it is about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is just kind of, like we say, setting the foundations and then having the confidence to tweak it or mold it to you as an individual. So
Personalization.
hopefully we will see you there. But other than that, thanks for listening, folks. As always, any questions, please do reach out to us. And we'll see you in episode 203.
Bye-bye.
See ya.